In 2009, I lost my dad to military suicide. He was really smart and funny, and some of his jokes were just so out of the box that you could see how brilliant he was. And he was also very sensitive. He would write poetry with me. We loved spoken word, and he would write love notes on napkins for my mom in restaurants. They had a really wonderful relationship.
My fiance was in 82nd Airborne, and he killed himself 2 years ago in July. There's certain benefits that you get if you're actually married, if you're a wife of the life, but for fiance, there's no death benefits. There's no right to even hear that your fiance is dead. He went into the Army because he said he wanted to have a career based on his weaknesses. He wanted to bring his weaknesses up. So if he could go into the Army and have a successful career based on the things that he was worst at, instead of just having a guaranteed career as a lawyer or a doctor and all these things. And so he wound up starting as infantry because he wanted to be a door kicker and do the thing that was most foreign to him. So he always had that spirit around him of like going for the hardest thing and making it work, and I guess until it didn't work anymore, right?
From February on till March, it just kind of happened all at once. Like there was a lot of signs for PTSD and he was being treated for it, but then just all at once, it just got too overwhelming. So come February, his drinking became a lot worse and he just kind of stopped communicating with me, and I would try, but he just wouldn't respond. When my dad completed suicide, it was almost like no one could say the right thing, or no one really kind of said anything because they were afraid that they would offend me or hurt my feelings.
I was going to have kids, get married. We had 2 houses. We were going to rent out the houses to military people up in Fort Bragg, students down here. We had this plan, and then he was going to be deployed. Okay, we can deal with that. We'll plan for that. That's fine. And then there's no we anymore.
When he died, it kind of went from like, I still have hope, to like, there's no hope. Like, there's really no meaning for the world. There's just, and I actually had my own suicide attempt shortly after.
There's a lot of unknowns. Am I going to have children? Am I going to get married again? What's my life going to look like? After school? Oh my God, how can I handle that when I'm grieving and even getting up every day? I was getting up every day and having a 3-hour panic attack. And going to bed at night knowing that even if I fell asleep, it was going to be a 3-hour panic attack. And facing that for how long?
I was introduced by my social worker. I was actually kind of forced to go. I got immediately thrown into the adult seminar. And at first I had like my headphones in and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was so scared. And then this lady came up to me and gave me the biggest hug, and she kind of pulled the headphones out and she was like, if you just plug in and just try, I promise this will change your life. TAPS is a military organization that provides resources, peer support, and just a family for those families of fallen soldiers. TAPS covers any type of military loss. And the conventions that I go to, the seminars, are hundreds of families of lost loved ones, either recently or years past. And there's just a weekend full of healing. There's workshops, there's special events that go on, there's fun moments and just different things throughout the weekend that just really help you kind of process your grief and be able to share your story and share your loved one with others.
The military has so much language of its own, and it's its own culture, and it's less than 1% of America any longer. It used to be much, much higher, the percentage that would be in the military. But now less than 1% of the country is going to understand what a military life is even like. Because you lose, in my case, you lose your partner or you lose your family member. And you also lose that life. At TAPS, you start and everyone knows that language already. And they've lived it as well. They're not just like, oh, I read some books on some acronyms or whatever. They've lived it and they're missing it also. So you miss the entire culture, and by having TAPS, you get that culture back because it's like living on base. Everybody gets it. And then they also get the part of the loss. So to me, this is obviously, so now I have no question that that's where I'm supposed to be.
And they didn't try to fix me, they just said that they understood, and this is what worked for them. and put a really incredible peer support around me of people that have literally changed my life. Now TAPS, it's given me purpose. It's given me a reason to share my dad's story, more so with people that not only understand it, but with people who don't, to help bring awareness to suicide and in veterans and PTSD. I never really lost anybody that close, and so after losing my dad, and you feel that sense of emptiness and that sense of loss, it's like a hole that it's like bottomless. It never gets filled, but you learn to live with it. And I think after my dad died, I had a lot more compassion for people who were dealing with complicated grief.
It's that feeling that you've lost the culture, you've lost the right to be on base, but now you kind of get that back, and that is, when that's holding you, you're able to heal so much faster, you know, because they get you. So that's, to me, TAPS is the flagship, you know.